Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to this week's edition of Artist Alchemy. This is that show where we like to look at what artists do, kind of take the everyday and turn it all into something magical and special. Our special guest today is visual artist and businesswoman Pamela Thompson. Pamela, welcome.
Thank you, David. It's great to be here.
So good to see you.
Thanks for the
Other than
opportunity.
Oh, great pleasure. So good to see you. Other than just on Facebook. So, gosh, it's been years. But let's start off by
Yes.
just tell us how you're doing during these crazy times of COVID-19.
Well, everyone is adjusting to this new type of shelter in place and extra washing your hands. And I've just decided I wasn't going to let it get me down. I wanted to do something positive during this time. So I started my own backyard shelter in place pandemic vegetable garden.
This is this like the Victory
And
Gardens
there it is.
after World War II or something, I think. Oh, look at that. Wow.
I don't know. I don't know. That's my little section of vegetables and corn and tomatoes and carrots and green onions. It's my little area in my backyard that I just planted in May, and it's done very well, very, very well.
This is the first time this area has been planted.
That area, yes. If you know my husband, Samuel Thompson, he does things on a big level, real big. Everything's big. Well, I told him I wanted something small and manageable. So these are my Napoli tomatoes and my okra.
Beautiful.
And down below is my early girl and big boy tomatoes. Yeah. So they came out delicious and wonderful. So
that's so impressive. I've been having a vegetable garden for years. I wish mine looked like that.
Oh,
we got a pretty good tomato crop this year, but gee, and then the corn. You did corn. Did you have to hand pollinate the corn?
No, the corn just took off from seed, actually. I was quite amazed, and I got about maybe 12 or 13 ears of corn off of it, and I was blown away, thankful, but blown away how it just took off. All the vegetables and fruits just took off. So,
gee, well, that's a very original way to deal with the pandemic. So we now have a pandemic garden tradition.
I call it my backyard garden inspection. I go out and I look and see what I have, and
it just becomes part of your daily ritual, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. It really does.
Well, that's so beautiful. Well, congratulations on a fabulous first-year garden.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I think we first met, I think, about 5 years ago.
Yes.
I was just getting more seriously involved at the YubaSutterArts Council as a board member, I think, and you had a gallery show, our main gallery in Marysville, and then you hosted a beautiful reception with incredible food from Porky's Barbecue. And as I've told you before, it was the gold standard. I mean, it's just a spectacular event, so well attended. It's always so satisfying when artists come out and friends and the community support the artists attending a gallery opening. So it was kind of a wonderful event, and I've remembered you ever since and followed you on Facebook.
Thank you.
But let's kind of get it to the beginning. Where'd you grow up? Where did your life start?
I was born in San Francisco. My parents are Howard and Gloria Green, who currently live in Fair Oaks. Went to school at Sac State. Started working for the state of California. Retired after 29 years or so. Got married, opened up a ministry, came to this area, opened up Porky's Barbecue. And after all of that, found I loved art and began there.
So is that a fairly new interest, or were you interested in art as a child, or how did that all come together with your government background and business background?
I think when I was a child, my parents' focus was to get us an education. I'm one of 4 kids. I have a set of twins ahead of me and a younger brother. So the focus back then was to get an education and to afford ourselves a style of living. art was fun, but it wasn't something that I was going to really get involved in maybe until later in life.
Sure.
So I've always sewn. I've always loved to cook. I've always loved beautiful paintings, but I never thought about, me being an artist at some point in time. At my
There we are.
Porky's Barbecue in Marysville, one of my customers named Tony came in one day talking about the Picasso etchings in San Francisco.
Ah,
And we talked and talked over lunch. We talked and talked. And I expressed to him that I was interested in. So he had his lunch and he came back about an hour later and said, Pamela, begin. He put easels on my countertop. And I went, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So I went and got paint, brushes, and I began. And I just
wow.
moved forward and continued. But Tony, was a very instrumental, pushing me forward individual who believed in me and said, begin.
So that was about how long ago?
2009.
Okay. All right.
2009.
And was Marysville the first restaurant?
The first barbecue restaurant, yes, at 10th and G Street.
Oh. Okay.
We had a restaurant called the Manor House at 3rd and C, the old Travelers Inn.
Oh, sure. Okay.
We were there too, yes. So,
Wow. Oh.
so we've been in the business and cooking and preparing meals.
I came to the area at about 2009, so I'm still feel like I'm kind of a relative newcomer, but I'm not the new kid in town. We got a few more since then, but well, that's amazing. So just really self-taught, just sort of got a little push from a friend, and and you just did it.
I think we all have gifts inside of us, whether it be painting or poetry, and a light just came on for me, and I just went with it. Kathleen Stewart, I believe, was the previous director.
One of our former executive directors at YubaSutterArts&Culture, yeah.
I didn't know who she was, but she would come to our restaurant with her paperwork and binders of papers and sit down and have something to eat. And she would be there not knowing who she was. She would be there and she'd be working and she noticed some of my abstract art on display in our restaurant. And after about, I don't know, a month, she asked my husband, who's the artist? And I was waiting tables at the time, carrying food, and he said, my wife is. And that's how this whole exhibition and art came about, by her visiting our restaurant those times and taking note of art on the wall.
It's funny, those little connections that happen, those kind of, I don't know, divine accidents, I guess, that occur. They can really make a difference. Well, you've obviously pursued it and taken it to a whole new level. So no classes, no Bob Ross videos, or none of that.
No.
And I mean that with all due respect to Mr. Ross. He certainly inspired a generation of artists. So, well, that's incredible. What about today? Are there any current artists, local or more well known, that you emulate or that you're just inspired by?
I don't really limit myself to a particular artist. I have an eye for things that I like, and I will see something in San Francisco or while we're on a cruise, and I'll go, I like that style. Maybe it's Peter Max, but it's not totally my style. But the color usage or the shadows or a particular facial detail of an artist. So I'm just open to seeing new and different things. I like to combine things together to make my own style. But of course, Picasso and Monet and Degas, all those, that you read about and you see all the time. But I like to do a combination of styles. And portraits seems to be, and pencil portraits is my little nesting place these days.
That's your comfortable media, your go-to, or pencil? Is pencil, huh?
In the beginning, I was doing with the abstract because I was fearful when you enter into the art world. you don't know what you're doing. You haven't taken a lesson. So if you go abstract, it's up to the person's interpretation. So I felt safe to be abstract. But then I began to want to really hone in on facial expressions and portraits and people, and so that's when I sort of dug into portraits.
And that's what I'm so familiar with, because so many of your posts of late have been this incredible series of portraits of folks, I guess, in your world and others who are very well known personalities. So
yeah,
we'll look at some. You want to look at some samples of some of the portraits now, or
yeah? Can we look at some of the friends and family? Can we look at those that?
Sure.
Okay. Yes. That's a great one. These are some of my friends in the area of Yuba City and elsewhere that I captured with pencil. The first one on the top left is Lynn. She's someone I've known for a while. She's very stylish and very kind to me, and she loves my collard greens. So I sketched her. Next to Lynn is a friend of mine in Texas that I met her.
Do you work from a photograph, or you do some live sketching?
I work from I haven't worked from live yet. All of them are basically photographs that I sketch from.
Okay.
The next person is with the hat on is a friend I met on a cruise ship 5 years ago. Her name is Deborah. She lives in Texas. And so I sketched her. She has that in her home, and so does Lynn, has her drawing in her home. The next is, if you can tell, that's I call him Mr. Whatnot. That's Stuart.
Oh, that is.
And he lives here in Marysville.
Of course.
I like the expressions that I see in his face, and I sketched him. Next is a friend of mine who lives in Fairfield. She's a sister in Christ. And going down to the next row is Mr. Greg Johnson. He's a pianist here in town. Face mask. And I decided to do one for him.
He was on with
us. And I wanted
to
do one for him
last week.
Oh, wow. So I wanted to do one of him and put the musical markers on his mask.
Yeah.
In the center is Deshawn. She's an actress that I met while I was in DC. And she was my first portrait watercolor from a photograph. And I sent that to her. I think it was maybe about 5 years ago. And I asked her, promise me when you become a big star, a big star, that you will have this in your dressing room framed on your table. She says, I promise you I will. So it's kind of like it's in New York somewhere. The lady next to her is Nancy. She is no longer with us. Nurtured me in terms of my art. She was a wonderful woman who dealt with mosaics, and she had such a gift. And she took me under her wing and gave me a box of acrylic paint and brushes and easels. And I still have those today, and I'm just so thankful to have met her, but she was an encourager. The bottom row is my tax accountant, Patty. I just said, I got to do you, Patty. I've got to do a picture of you. And she says, oh, you don't have to. But I said, I must. And so I did. And she has that in her home. Next to her is my friend, Deanna. Deanna came to me at a Greek festival here in town. She saw me walk in with one of my turbans on, and we became friends instantly. And she came to the exhibition, actually. She came to my exhibition in 2015. And I just had to do her with her red hair. I just had to. So I drew her, and she has that in her home. The lady next to her is Tori. She lives in Michigan. And she was the person that put my art on facial masks. And so like she did the mask for Greg. He has a special mask that he wears. And so she's also an October baby, and she does jewelry, and she's very creative. And so I sketched her, and she lives in Michigan. The next person, do you recognize who she might be?
Krista Higdon.
Oh!
Ding, 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 ding.
Yes, yes, it is.
Do I
I
win?
met, you do win. I met Krista on the arts and music page. She has a nephew who's involved in music, and I have a nephew, Gregory Porter, who's a jazz singer,
No
who's
way.
involved. Yes,
Gregory Porter?
is my nephew. Yes,
Wow.
yes, yes. And so
How do
Krista
we
and
get
I
him here
met.
for a performance?
Pardon me.
How do we get him out here for a performance?
I don't know. I don't know what he's doing these days regarding COVID, but I'll
Well,
have to.
next year. Next year.
Okay. Well, okay. Okay.
We'll talk. We'll talk.
We'll talk. And so Krista and I met while we were watching the Grammys. We were, Facebooking, and then she goes, "Well, that's my nephew." I said, "Well, that's my nephew." So we're friends. And I did her, and I also did her mom,
Oh,
Bud. I
Bud.
did
We
a
do Bud. I
yes,
danced with Bud.
yes. I did a picture of her mom for her. So
Sweet.
it's special, yeah. And the very last person is my cousin Connie Wisham. She lives in the Bay Area. I saw this photograph of her on her Facebook page, and I was just drawn to it.
Yeah.
So this was my first attempt at pencil realism
Yeah.
of someone that I know, and she has that painting or that in her home in the Bay Area. So those are some of my friends. I have many more, but I just selected a few today to share.
That's a great collection. Very powerful.
Yeah.
What sort of format? What size are we talking about? 8 by 10, 11 by 14? What do you usually do?
My comfort is 9 by 12.
9 by 12. Okay.
But everyone is saying that I can go even larger, but I want to make sure my proportions are right. So 9 by 12 is my comfort that I work with. Any smaller, my details, I don't feel comfortable with my details, but I do have large easels though.
Yeah. So we talked about the pandemic and how it inspired you to begin a vegetable garden. Has it affected your art? Do you feel, is there any change in what you were doing in February versus what you're doing in July and August?
Well, I think when we had all these issues regarding the masks, I didn't show that series, but I had about 4 or 5 facial portraits with masks.
Mm-hmm.
One says "Live On," and it has a girl with a mask. It's "Live On." The other says the United States of America flag, and it's a mask. And the other is one of Dr. Fauci, which says, "Let Fauci speak." So, and I also did one of George Floyd. Mm-hmm. So there's things that occur that affect you in a way, and you decide, I want to capture that. So my drawing went in that vein, in that time, to reflect what was going on all around us.
So that was your response. I mean, there's certainly nothing new about art for social change or art in the service of social justice, or
right.
So many different levels. I mean, you are prolific, and as I said, I've kept up with you on social media. Thank goodness for Facebook. I know you're a busy woman with a lot of other things going on in your life, but what keeps you going? Do you have to do the art? Is it essential to your peace of mind and well-being as a person?
It was when you're a busy person, there are things that you turn to relax and to go inside yourself. And with me, with the portrait, it was easy to grab a pencil and a pad and sit and sketch. Painting became more of a chore in terms of the colors, the brush, the cleaning. Yeah. But I just would grab a pad and different pencil grades and just begin sketching. So it's my it's a struggle between my garden and my my sketching. And I have to sort of like, let me just come in. The corn is okay. The watermelon is just fine. Just come on back inside. But my husband got me a hammock because he knew I was spending a lot of time in my garden. So he got me a hammock. Aww. And so I'll be out there just looking at it grow and saying, "May, I planted you, and now look at what you produced." So yeah. It's relaxing. It's relaxing. All of it is.
Beautiful. But it does become part of the routine, and it's something you have to go back to over and over again. It's essential. we've shown some of your portraits, and I love that they vary in style and media. So you'd say that you're primarily using pencil these days, and you just made the point. I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, the painting, acrylics, watercolor, whatever it is, there's some cleanup involved. And,
Right.
yeah, the pencil is kind of neat. Pull out your paper and whip out the box of pencils.
It's quick.
So it's mainly pencil these days.
Mainly pencils these days, and a few colored pencil, because that's still easy to do. But I'm very busy, and I just don't want to let it go. But I want to get back to actually painting with paint, and hopefully that'll come soon.
You'll get there. You'll get back there. Your art, in addition to your gardening, has to coexist with your business life as co-owner of Porky's, and how do they interrelate? I mean, it's just part of your daily routine, I guess, right? Owning a restaurant and doing art.
I've met some wonderful people down at Porky's who are artists. They'll come in for barbecue, and they'll see my paint, my little brushes and stuff in a bag, and they'll go, "Oh, are you an artist?" I go, "Uh-huh." And then we begin to share, which is beautiful. They share their experiences, their techniques, and the next thing I know, they're coming back for barbecue, but they're bringing me easels and markers and stencils. And one person that's very, I call her famous, Christy Taylor. She makes alcohol ink products.
Interesting.
And I didn't know that she did that, but she's really, really pretty famous. And I went, "You didn't tell me who you were when you walked in here."
Celebrities in our midst.
But she's very, yes.
Oh, how fun. You're right, though. It's part of that social exchange in a restaurant that we miss so much. And it's so tough with all the restrictions now we're faced with. But yeah, those chance encounters with people like you said, you wouldn't have met otherwise.
Right.
We touched on art for social change, and I've certainly seen a lot of you talked about the masks you created, the one in honor of Mr. Floyd. Do you want to touch on the vandalism you had to deal with over near your restaurant in Yuba City? And
yeah, it's a shame. It's disheartening that the vandalism did occur. But we must consider the fact that there's a lot of division in the world today, and some people are acting out their dislike for things. But we just move on. We just move on because the world is moving on, and it didn't really stop anything for us. But it was just sad that we had to deal with that in 2020. So.
Yeah, that's what I keep saying when those things occur. I said, "My gosh, this is 2020. Where have you been?"
Right.
Are you still catching up with the world here and trying to move forward? I've always, I'm a big city boy. I grew up in Los Angeles and then lived in Washington, D.C. for 20 years. Came back to California, as I said, about 11 years ago. And I'd been to this area a number of times and liked it. I was still traveling a lot on business, so I needed to be fairly close to an airport. But I knew this area, so I bought a nice home and then moved out here. And I've enjoyed the diversity. I mean, every time I do the demographic breakdown for a new grant application, I'm reminded of all the different cultural, distinct ethnic groups and the multiculturalism here that I so much appreciate, having experienced that in Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. And I've been impressed by generally the climate in Yuba Sutter in terms of mutual respect and for the diversity within our community. The recent public gatherings and marches that we had, I thought were so well done with our friend Megan Anderson and Tanya Mack from the college and others who were involved.
Wonderful.
Just really powerful stuff. So I see that and it gives me hope. And then little blips occur like that, and you go, "Gosh, this is not good." And we still have those folks out there that haven't caught
Right.
up to the time, I guess. So, do you have any suggestions
Right.
for what could be done to
Absolutely.
make our community even better and stronger?
Well, I just think that there's just a small fraction of people like that in the city. We've received such an outpour of love and support from new customers, old customers, people coming to bring flowers and say they're sorry. But
Hmm.
we can't change everyone. We can only live as the example going forward. And what we decided to do at the time was not to uh, take down the flag that was placed over our uh, our signage that said Black Lives Matter. We placed the flag on the building because we believe in law enforcement.
Of course.
Um, and people said that was such a classy move. That was such a classy move. And we just felt like we believe in it too, but let's not just cover up what you don't like. Let's just share. And so that's what we did.
Well, I think that
I'm
was
from San Francisco.
yeah, right.
I'm from San Francisco, and it's multicultural as I grew up. And this town is not as diverse, but I grew up, working with, dealing with, interacting with all people of all cultures, and opinions. So,
As I did in Los Angeles, and I consider myself blessed to have it in my background.
mhm.
But yeah, it's interesting to me to see. I think there's just so much confusion and misunderstanding about some of the phrases and the defund the police. Well, it's so much more
Yes,
complicated. These little terse
yes,
statements
yes.
that get misunderstood and cause people to get aroused, I think, in the wrong way without really understanding what's behind that, the context. And yeah, I'd like to see greater understanding and between all of our different groups in the community. We're working on a grant right now to put together a kind of a storytellers acting company, a touring ensemble that'll go out and
Oh,
tell tales and fables from all the different cultures represented in Yuba Sutter, and share that with
wow.
community groups, school groups, and so you'll get African American storytelling, you'll get Punjabi stories, Native American tales. So we're excited about it. If we get the money, I think it'll be one little contribution we can make to helping create additional
That's great.
understanding of the community, which, like you said, is pretty darn good in so many ways. Maybe we can find a
Yes.
couple of outliers that we can bring on over to our side. But
Right,
um,
right. That's great. That's great, David. It's great.
so, do you consider are you politically active? Do you consider yourself politically active, or?
I think I've become politically active in the last 12 years or so. I think when you get older in life, you pay more attention to what's going on in your community, your society, your country. I was blessed to go to the Barack Obama inauguration in 2009, January, but it was very cold, very, very, very cold. But
Yes.
it was it was an awesome experience to think that there have been, you know, 40 some prior inaugurations in that town. That time we're standing right where I'm standing, and it was just an amazing experience. So I'm very involved in what's going on. I'm very involved in encouraging folks to vote and to complete the census because it affects our community. And with that knowledge, we should all be involved to make our community, Yuba Sutter, a better place for all.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're absolutely spot on about the voting. I, to some extent, don't care how you vote, but wink, wink. Uh, but vote. Damn it, vote. Just get out and do
Yes.
your
Mhm.
thing. And that's the thing that makes
Yes.
me the craziest is just that unfortunately large percentage. I think even presidential elections, and I don't mean to turn this into a political conversation, but um, 60% of eligible voters, I think, typically vote even a presidential election. I think that's shameful. But
It's amazing. It's amazing. I got involved locally with Gracie.
Espindola,
We threw a campaign party for her. She was running for city council. Yes, and
oh,
it was so exciting that she won. Because we were like so involved, and to see her win, it was joyful, very joyful. So I got the bug, and that was it.
Good. Nothing like that. And that personal connection, which is one of the really cool things I think about, for at least for me living here, is that, just through different things I've been involved with, through my Rotary Club and of course the Arts Council, and
Mm-hmm.
needing to get letters of support and just being out in the community, you know everybody. I mean, you really are just,
Yeah.
and you and your restaurant is just, you're a social hub anyway, and you get to meet, elected officials and other community
Yes.
leaders, and it's
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
cool,
Yes. Yes.
You
Yes.
see them on Facebook, you read about them in the paper. Oh, it's so and so, or oh my gosh, look what happened here. It's just that's kind of exciting, and that's one of the things I really love about small town living. So, what about talking?
I can hear you.
I think we might have run into a technical difficulty.
Okay.
David seems to have frozen. We're going to hopefully he comes back here in just a second. I'm going to take him off the stream. But in the meantime, I guess we'll try to pick back up where he left off. Hello, everyone. Alex Asina reporting live from Boston. Wow. Chance for me to pop in. Woo woo. Yeah. So I guess I will pick up where he left off. So we just talked about you being politically active and all that means for you. So I don't think David really touched on this, but how do you see art as a active method for social change? What's your view on that?
I think art is powerful, like music is, for active change. I think there's so many different branches of art that connects with people. And there's so like different branches of music that connects with people. We have that universal connection. And so I think there's going to be more of an outpour of artists who want to see social change. And you'll see probably more art in not defiant, but messaging art as we move forward. There's a younger generation coming on board, and I think they're going to be more vocal in their attempts to get their message heard. Because actually, Alex, I'm not going to be here in 30 years. And there's going to be another group of people living and being involved in their government that will change the complexion and the attitudes of their country. So art will have an important place, I believe.
I absolutely agree. I think that, the old saying, art comes from suffering. And I think in these times where we've had such an outpour of different things just kind of tossed on us from all sorts of different sides, I think it's so important that we have an outlet for such things. I know, like you just said, music is my outlet. I sing. I need. Woo! Yeah, you and me, girl. Before the stream, we were going at it with each other. But no, I need that outlet to sing and to express myself. And so I think using art in that way and just like emote and show what's happening to you and express your feelings is so important. So I'm actually going to bring up one of the slides that you had from your collection that you shared with us. And you called this one the March. Can you tell me all about this and what this means to you?
This was one of my early abstract arts. This is acrylic. And it's like the paint was just flowing on its own. And once I finished mixing the paints, I said, oh my gosh, it looks like there's people walking out of a forest. And immediately I thought of the March. And I said, and that's what abstract does. Abstract art just makes its own way. And then you look at it and interpret what you think it is. And to me, I just see people walking together out of the forest or out of It could be flames or out of, the wilderness. So it was that kind of a dive into, let me mix some colors and see what I get.
I completely agree. As soon as you said the march was the title for this, I instantly got those feelings invoked of just like movement, and through I see the fire. That's definitely
yes
coming on the other side of that fire, and just like I was just like, oh, that's it. That's this piece, and I loved it. And so also you did this other piece with John Lewis.
Yes.
Which,
and
God rest his soul, thanks for all of his amazing work that he did politically and as an activist. Just tell me your influence and what you thought about this piece.
Well, during this political time that we're living in, a lot of things were coming out regarding treatment of certain groups of people. And he was always there standing for what's right and reminding us of what occurred during his early 20s. And I said to myself, wow, he was only 20-some years old. And he stood up to the government. He stood up to the norms. He went against what was known at the time. And I just became more involved in this young man of 20. And I found a picture of him and I started to sketch it. And I went, wow, it really came out pretty good. And a friend of mine in Michigan, her name is Carolyn Davis. Her son lives here in town. She purchased it and she says, I must have it. And so to me, this picture of John Lewis and the march, to me, they go together. John Lewis was drawn back in December of 2019, and the march was done in 2014. But they come together as powerful images of a man who stood and marched for justice. And I just said I had to do it. So some of my paintings are emotional, and I have to do them. Yes.
Yeah, and that's so wonderful. Again, bring back to the emotional quality that we find in art, and I think you've done so well to capture John Lewis. I think in his wisdom in this picture, because you said thinking about a young man in his 20s. Well, I didn't know him in his 20s.
Right.
I saw him. This is the John Lewis that I knew.
Correct.
And so just to see this picture and everything, it's just like I see his wisdom and his eyes just kind of like almost pierce me and look at me like, is this the choice that you want to make? And I'm like, it just I love it. I absolutely love this.
Yeah. Thank you. So, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, gosh, I could sing praises all day. It looks like we have David back, so I'm going to transition back to him.
Bye, Boston.
Bye. It was great to see you for this hot second. I'm going to bring David back in.
Okay.
Wow.
Back to you, David.
Wait, not so fast. I was enjoying the show.
Oh. Sorry.
I can take the rest of the afternoon off.
I wasn't dressed for this. I wasn't ready.
That's all right. You look fabulous.
I'll let you get back to it there.
Oh, and you did an excellent job talking about Mr. Lewis. Golly.
Yes.
What a story. What a life. What a life. That sacrifice. I know.
Yes.
I watched. I'll get emotional again. I watched Selma again the other night, just for a reminder. But wow. Pretty amazing stuff.
I want to go to Selma and walk across that bridge. I want to do that. I want to do that.
Should they change the name or keep it?
That's a whole nother subject too.
It is, and it's fascinating, particularly the folks that have said they want it to stay the same.
It represents, the name represents a time, and I'm always curious as to, and this, I don't mean to be so political, but I'm curious as to why there were so many bridges or forts or things that were named after people who were quote unquote against America.
Traitors. Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't want to say it, but traitors, so I still want to go to Selma. I still want to walk across the bridge. But I think it would be the right thing to do is to rename it appropriately. But that's just my thoughts.
Well, and then the removal of the statues are interesting because I've been to, gosh knows, we've all seen a lot of public statuary, and I'm fascinated by bronzes because we're working on a couple of other projects that may allow us to bring some bronze sculptures to town, not for Civil War general.
And it happened again.
Alex, we're back.
Oh no. No, but picking up where David left off, I guess, talking about like the different statues that have been taken down, Civil War generals. We've seen statues of Christopher Columbus being taken down. I know that was a big one here in Boston.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There have been different outcries for statue removals and everything. And that's art, and that's somebody's work.
True.
And so it's so interesting, and I'm always torn. And I think David probably is too. That just like, what do we do in that situation? I don't want to remove someone's legacy, but at the same time, that legacy is fraught. With turmoil. So, what are your kind of thoughts on that?
It's I wasn't born in the South, so I don't know the conditions to live day by day. All right. I was born in San Francisco, very open, very liberal, very welcoming of everyone. It's hard for me to consider myself living in that time, in that environment, and to maybe one day ask my father, what is that statue of? Who is that? And then to have to be told what it is, and you think, then why is it there?
Right.
Why is that there? So
So
I try not to do too many political pieces of art, but some of the things regarding the mask with Dr. Fauci, I did. I found him. I drew him because I felt he was important, and I drew the mask with the United States flag on it because I felt like we as Americans need to sort of come together and do this thing for us as a country. And then the one that I did of the girl with the dreadlocks with a mask that said "Live On," representing a young person going to be an adult in years to come. Live on so you can be involved in how your government is run. So, and that's about as far as I go.
I think those are exactly poignant and very clear in their statements, but they don't necessarily like cry for public outrage or anything like that. It's a statement and it's there, and I think those are wonderful and beautiful in that regard. So I have David's notes here, so I'm going to continue off of what he's kind of talked about.
Okay, Boston, you're on. Go ahead.
I'm on. I'm here. I'm just going to continue this. You and me, we're going to have this conversation. David was talking about how you have. He says that there was a while back that he was learning calligraphy, and that there was something about a greeting card line.
Yeah, initially, most of my art I was doing was making greeting cards, very, very small, just, getting duplicates made. And then I wanted to put my own phrases inside. I would get a greeting card from a local store and I'm like, the picture's great, but the inside doesn't work. So I said, I need to do it myself, but my handwriting isn't as like I would like it to be. So I have a calligraphy kit in my art room. I've done a little bit, but I haven't really perfected it to my degree. But it was a thought to include calligraphy, making my own cards and using my own art. So
I love that. That is so wonderful. And I feel the same way. Like I can go to a greeting card shop or just any drugstore or something, and I was looking for something in particular, and I'm like, well, this is good. And then the message inside, I'm like,
Right. So I just said, you can have the picture, you can have the words or the scripture, but you need the handwriting, so maybe down the road. And I think I mentioned that to David a long time ago, but now I'm just doing bigger things, bigger portraits.
Good. That's awesome. No, I know I would never be able to do that. My handwriting is absolutely atrocious.
Yes, you can. I always tell people, don't say you can't do something. And that's for me. I believe that you can do anything you decide to do and work at. You have to just say, I can do it, and just go at it.
You speak truth. I actually preach the same thing. I'm so mad I just said that myself. Gotta practice what you preach, right?
You do. Mm-hmm.
So I'll I'll make sure to clear up my thinking on that. Thank you for setting
There
me
you
straight.
go. You're welcome, Boston.
Love it. So are there any other art forms that you would like to try, or like any like acting, maybe being a musician, or different type of like actual like painting or drawings?
I have a piano in my home, and I said I was going to learn how to play the piano. I play drums occasionally in church. I want to work with clay, and I'm a songwriter. So there's a few things I need to get involved in and to do.
So you're going all over the place. Do you ever find yourself like focusing on one more than the other, or is it just kind of like bouncing and then you're feeling this and then the next day you're feeling this? Or
Well, as you get older in life, Alex, you begin to write down things that you desire to do. You say, when I was in my 20s or 30s, I did this. But now you're saying, I never finished that dream. So let me write it down so I can go ahead and, address it. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing the art, because I said, I could do this. Let me just go ahead and do it. So I've done it. So, yeah.
I love that. All right. I'm going to start making a list. I guess it's time. Make sure I start checking it off and going through things. You're convincing me here.
They're good. I'm glad. My job is done.
Let's go back to some of your other art real quick. Just to make sure that we get some of those beautiful pictures in here.
Thank you.
Because I want to make sure everyone gets to see your amazing work.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm always so thrilled when I'm working the tech side of this because I get to see everyone's art first thing.
Yeah.
So before the stream. So yes. So walk me through this. This is.
Well, as someone who's never been to school to learn how to do facial expressions and stuff, I said, well, the easiest thing I can do is just close their eyes. So I found photographs of women that I loved, and I said, their eyes were open in the photograph. And I said, I'm going to close their eyes. Yeah. And I call this my eyes wide shut sample of women. You have the quote unquote flamingo dancer with the red headdress. And you have the lady here who's like, don't mess with me in the middle. And then the lady on the very far right, she reminds me of someone underwater, or like a mermaid or whatever. So yeah, I try to label or group my paintings, but this is the eyes wide shut ladies. Yeah,
I love that.
Watercolor.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's definitely, it's not pencil. I was gonna ask what the medium was. These are gorgeous, absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
So the flamingo dancer is probably my personal favorite.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm feeling her. The middle one actually reminds me of Anaya Presley, the Congresswoman.
Yes. Yes. The true Ayanna Presley, right?
Yes.
The true Ayanna Presley. Yes.
I see her. Yes. I see her like that all the time. She's actually my Congresswoman here in Boston.
Oh, so cool.
I couldn't have been more thrilled. It was great. Just happened to move into her district. So
put your hand to the screen. That's how close I'll get to her. Put your hand to the screen. She is amazing. She's amazing. She's amazing.
I love her to bits, honestly. And I follow her on Twitter. And so like when I saw that, I was wondering if that's who you had based it off of.
No. That's wild.
I was drawn to it. I was like, that's my Congresswoman.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, people making connections through art. Love that.
That's true.
So let's take a look at your next one. What's this? This is
wild. My mom, Gloria Green, she goes to all these different stores and she finds these drawing books.
Yeah.
And this book was maybe a drawing sample of the 1960s. And it was just pencil, the basics, how you draw the face and all that. And I put a filter on it and I screamed. I said, that has really come to life. Yeah. So my mom brought the old drawing books of long ago to my attention. I saw something I liked. I drew it in pencil and then I put a filter on it and it came out ghostly, ominous, just, luring. And I love her. And it's just pencil. It's just pencil with a filter. And I just blew me away.
Well, you keep saying just pencil, and so
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
gosh, I got some pencils lying around. I could try something. It'll take me a while to get there, but I might have to try this at some point and start doing some pencil sketches.
Yeah.
You're really convincing me of a lot of things here today.
This is good. This is good, Boston. This is good.
You and me.
Yeah.
Now, tell me about this one.
This one is abstract, of course.
Yes.
And I was over at Sam's Club getting some copies made of it to make greeting cards long ago.
Yeah.
And there was a lady in line, and she says, "Oh my gosh, that looks like a Hawaiian tulip tree." And I go, "What?" She goes to Hawaii a lot. The green hue isn't coming out as strong as it is in person. It's much more emerald green. And so her name is Maria Ordoro, and she named it, and she was a stranger to me. And when I got my copies made, we were talking, of course, and I found out where her husband worked, and so I made a greeting card for her with this on the cover. And took it to her husband's business and said, "Please, can you please give this to your wife?" So she named it, but it's just an abstract. And to me, it looked like a waterfall, but to her, it reminded her of some flowers in Hawaii. And so it's my Hawaiian tulip tree painting.
I love that. And as I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate abstract art a lot more. And something like this, there's just so many like parallels that you can get out. It's almost like a Rorschach test,
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. What do you see? What do you see? What do you see?
I see a butterfly in there.
Oh my gosh.
So that's what I'm drawing from it.
And that's how abstract art is. It allows the viewer to see different things. And as you turn it, you twist it, turn it, it becomes totally different. So
that's beautiful and wonderful that we can all see different things in the exact same painting. It just shows the diversity involved in that. It's just amazing.
Yes. Absolutely.
And so here you are.
There I am.
At your last art gallery showing. Yes. I know David said that we need to get you back.
I know.
I'm fully on board with this statement. As soon as we can open, we're going to get you scheduled. We are going to get you in. It's a done deal, okay?
It's a done deal. Of course, we'll cater it from Porky's. I called this my first showing the Awakening Collection, because I felt that there was something that was awakened in me, that all this came out, all this creativity just burst. And so what more than an appropriate title? The Awakening Collection. And my husband has been so supportive. Whatever I need, if I say something quietly like, "I'm running out of storage space for my items here, my paintings," next thing I know, there's this big old, cabinet perfect for my paintings. I'm like, this is great. So he's my biggest supporter.
That's funny that you say that. I know my mom, Abby, and David are the exact same way. He'll say something kind of quietly and say, "Oh, we might need this in the future." And my mom, 10 minutes later, will be like, "I already ordered it. It might be here."
Right.
And she's just like, "It's going to get here." So it's funny you say that relationship. I'm like, oh, there's another one of them out there.
So it's really nice to have
someone
to have some support. It helps, so that's him. Samuel Thompson, my husband, 27 years married. Oh my gosh.
Oh, blessings.
27.
That is so amazing.
27. Yeah.
Blessings.
Thank you.
Here is the march again. We've talked through that, and again, amazing. I love it.
Thank you.
John Lewis.
Yes.
And then a classic, Miss Billie Holiday.
I love when people believe in me to say to me, "Have you ever thought about doing Billie Holiday?"
Oh.
And I'm like, I've never thought about it. So this wonderful woman in Michigan, Carolyn Davis, I call her Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
She's always Michigan, always Michigan. She asked me that question. And so I would go, sketch a little bit and post it and said, I'm just, she never knew it was for her. I would just sketch it and show little bits and pieces. She goes, "You're doing very well. That's really nice." And it worked out where I think it was her birthday, and I finished it. And I said to her on Facebook, "Please send me your address because I want to send it to you." And she was like, "Is that for me?" And I said, "Yes." So people that I've met online who have seen my work have suggested drawings for me to do.
Yeah.
And I will do them. And from my heart, it becomes, a part of me, a part of them. And she's been just a wonderful supporter of my art. And I'll say it again. Carolyn Davis, Michigan, Lansing.
Michigan. No, that's just so great. To have something spawn from like conversations and people, it's a commission of the soul almost.
Yeah. There's another one. There's another one where there's a cigar smoking woman. Do you see that one in there? A woman with
this is
rainbow people.
Rainbow people.
That's my last one.
Yeah, I don't think I have a cigar
smoking one. Okay.
No, I think I just have Billie Holiday.
Okay. There was one that I did. A guy had gone to Cuba, and there was this iconic woman that was smoking a cigar in pictures throughout Cuba. And he was just saying how wonderful his trip was, but he wished he had gone and purchased this particular painting. And he showed it. And I was like, oh, I think I can do that. So privately, I just started sketching this cigar smoking woman.
Yeah.
And I posted it and I said to him, you don't know me other than Facebook, but I saw your comment. And if you'd like this painting, I can send it to you. He was, oh my gosh. And so all I ask is that you just show me where it's posted in your home.
Oh.
And time had passed, and I thought, you never know, right?
Right.
So I said, hey, did you ever get that painting? He says, yes, I did. It took me a while to rearrange my wall of art because I wanted to put it in the perfect place. And he took a picture of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at my girl. But it's a people connection.
Yeah.
I like the people connection. Yeah.
That's so wonderful. So wonderful. And this next one here.
This is my early days of doing portraits and not really understanding or knowing how to do shading in pencil. So I said, if I can't do it in pencil, why don't I just try it in paint? So wherever there was an area where there should be shadowing, I'll use color. And this was my little venture into put a little color here, put a little color there. And so I call them my rainbow people.
I love it.
Thank you.
I think they're stunning and spectacular each in their own way. So like way to experiment here. And I know you said you've had no formal training, and it's just so interesting to see like the process almost and evolution. It's wonderful.
And it's amazing because people will say to me, one woman, Christy Taylor, actually, the alcohol ink creator of sparkling Christy alcohol inks. She said to me one day at the barbecue place, she says, I have this picture I think you can draw. I go, okay. It was Nina Simone.
Oh.
And she had saved it on her phone, and she said, I'm going to send it to you because I know you can do it. I'm going, are you sure? She goes, I know you can.
Oh.
And when I finished it, she says, I knew you could. So I like that. I like that people see in me a desire to say, push her forward, continue.
Yeah. And
I like that.
Yeah, that outpouring of strength and people just supporting you like that. That's wonderful. Gosh.
Yeah. I like that.
And what you do is then you just forward that support onto like someone else and it just continues. And it's just such a wonderful like continuance waterfall of support and love. And
because I think we all have gifts. We do. Yeah. We all have a gift. We have. So it's just tapping into it.
Absolutely.
Tapping into it. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. And the last picture you sent us, I was absolutely stunned. This is love this.
My girl.
Tell me about this.
This was a photograph. Now the hair was completely different, This is the photograph I saw. I think the hair was like a big butterfly. And I went,
Okay.
oh, I don't know about the butterfly thing. But I love the, I'm getting more into the human body shapes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it fascinates me to be able to capture curves and to establish a movement.
Yeah.
So I made her hair extremely big. And my friend Christy said, that's the singer from Coles and Coles. And I went, who's that? And she sent me a picture, and there's a singer who has big hair.
Oh.
And she's very, very, she sings with her group. She's very dramatic. And she said, that's her. And I have to name her Lynn. So this is Lynn. Pencil, profile, an emotion of whatever you may depict or see. But I just fell in love with her, and so many people liked it. And for artists, well, for me, you may be very critical of what you do. You may say, oh, this isn't quite right, or that isn't quite right. But others see it and they say it's lovely, it's beautiful. So you have to step back from yourself and allow it to be. And this was my latest creation, was this profile, the big hair, and looking up. So
yeah, isn't that the hardest truth, that we're so critical of ourselves?
Yes.
And our own art and our own work. But if we listen to others and truly accept and acknowledge that what they're saying could possibly be true, that's when actual work can be done and put forth and continuance. I completely agree.
It's important too, because I got to say, in my early days of insecurity about not being quote unquote an artist who has gone to school and studied and everything balances out, I went to a pencil art class locally. And I was so excited. I was going to learn all these different things about pencil art and shading. And the instructor, I brought some of my stuff. I was excited.
Yeah.
And she says, oh, that's John Lennon, but his eye is a little off. And I went, oh, okay. And I thought, am I going to allow that critique to destroy my gift? The answer was no. Am I going to improve in my drawings in the eye area? I will. But when I was in the class, Alex, all we were doing was painting her sketches with pencil. And I went, I can do this at home with my own art.
Speaking truth.
I'm not going to just sit here and just paint this color. Okay, now use the blue pen. Okay, the purple. So I paid my money and I went to 2 classes and I dropped out. And she kept calling me, are you coming back? I said, no, I'm okay. I'll learn on my own. Thank you. So I think it's important for us not to be discouraged. It's important for us not to be discouraged in anything, whether it be art, music, speaking, your career. Don't let people discourage you to not do what you desire to do. And that's what I've been doing. And I've been blessed by it, just to continue going on.
Absolutely. Speaking words of wisdom right here on Facebook Live, everyone. So I know we've kind of run over on time a little bit.
I'm
a little
sorry.
bit over an hour. No. We've had a wonderful conversation. There were some technical things, but here we are. If you don't mind, I am going to try to end it with the last 10 questions, just because. Yeah. I know it's been a.
Did he tell you a question I didn't want to answer?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Okay. There's a question that deals with a curse word.
Oh, okay. We can skip that.
Thank you.
I will skip that. No worries.
Thank you.
We'll walk right around it. I got you. All right. Okay. But we'll go through the other 9 questions tonight from James. So here we are. Question number 1. What is your favorite word?
Question. Flourish. Flourish.
That's a good one. Okay. What is your least favorite word?
Obstruction.
Okay.
Obstruction.
I feel that. I love these answers. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Natural beauty, when you're out and about, you hear birds, or you see birds, or you see a sunset, or you see trees blowing in the wind. So natural beauty sort of moves me.
Absolutely. What turns you off creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Loudness. I think for me, I need quiet when I create. And when it's loud, destructive noise, it turns me off. I can't focus. I can't concentrate. I can't.
Yeah. What sound or noise do you love?
Water running in a fountain, outdoor fountain, a garden fountain, trickling water, that sort of soothing sound. Love that.
Yeah, me too. That's a good one. What sound or noise do you hate?
Horns and cars.
Okay.
Loud horns and cars.
I feel that you don't want to move to Massachusetts then. Let me tell you, everyone honks
or New York. Or New York.
Or New York.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Horns and engines and everything happening all the time. Okay, what profession, other than the many that you have done and attempted, would you like to pursue?
I want to be like a director of a movie, to sort of call the shots and direct a small movie or play, behind the scenes. Cut. Roll tape.
Whenever you do that, you give me a call, okay? I'll be there.
It's a deal.
All right. What profession would you not like to pursue?
I don't want to be a laborer, outdoor laborer. I love gardens, but I come in from the heat. But I come in. But to actually have to work outdoors, most of my career in working has always been an office job. I never worked fast food, never did any of that. But I don't think I can handle being outside. It's just not my desire.
Just not you. I feel that. Okay. All right. And last question. What would you like to hear hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
For me, I want him to say, job well done. And I was true to being myself. I did not compromise who I was. I did not change who I was supposed to be, but I went through this life as me. And I'm thankful for that.
Oh, that is absolutely wonderful. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, Pamela, for all your time. Oh my gosh, it has been wonderful. And everyone watching, don't forget that we have two very special events coming up at the YubaSutter Arts Council as we honor the 100th anniversary of the enactment of the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. So important. One virtual and one live tomorrow night, Wednesday, August 19th at 6 p.m. right here on our Facebook page live. And we'll have the Women's Leadership Conversation. And then on Saturday, August 22nd from 10 to 1, live at the Tea Garden House, we will have a pop-up art gallery, on the front lawn. With a display of our Woe mannequins. They're half-shell mannequins that have been decorated by local individuals, young and old, some professional artists, some just regular folks and organizations who have created these works of art. And we'll have actors out there portraying suffragettes and special guest speakers, music, free cookies, all that stuff. It's an event. It's happening again from 10 to 1, Tea Garden House on Saturday. And just thank you to David, who popped on earlier and everything. And thank you to producer Abby, who is always rock solid and everything. And tune in next Tuesday to see Kurt Schroeder, co-founder of the acting company. Until then.
Oh, I know Kurt. Okay, cool.
Well, you're going to have to tune in.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I know
Kurt. Until then, this has been Artist Alchemy. Thank you all. And again, thank you, Pamela.
You're very welcome. Bye, Alex. Take care.
Bye.